explain. I have been investigating our paris's history, and in doing so, came across an obscure piece of information that points to
I thought I could find the chat. Ooh. There we go. Hey, Clanker upstairs. How's it going? I don't know why looking at this on my Oh, there we go. Now it works. That's weird. Chat hasn't worked for me before in some cases. I don't know why. So I've joined live streams before and I haven't been able to see the chat, so I had it pulled up on my phone. I was just trying to see if it would work, but cool. Hello, Dark Catsley 013. Hello, hello. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, it is what it is. Madamitor. Wait. Whoa. That sounds like a very interesting name, madam. Hello. I am just kind of figuring this out as I go here. Plus, I didn't expect so many people to hop in so quickly. So now I don't know what I'm doing. I was not prepared. Give me one sec. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Oh my gosh. Okay. There we go. That is what I've been facing with all day today. There we go. Okay. Hi everybody. Okay. It's one thing after another, and today was just so there was just so much loudness going on. It's like I don't want to hear it anymore. Okay. What'd you guys think of the song that I put out? What'd you think of it? I don't know if all of you watched or not. Seemed like a couple people discussed their thoughts on it, which was cool. I just wonder how many of you might have not seen it. Nice. I'm really, really glad, Madam. Am I reading that first part of your name correctly? Really glad that you enjoyed it. I will just say, as someone who, I mean, I write music that I feel like I resonate with, right? And it's always the hope that pretty easily that will be easy enough for an audience to take in, right? And really, I liked these songs. I actually just finished recording the last song, so there's going to be 9 tracks, 9 music tracks. I'll probably do a fun little skit track at the beginning, just because I always love doing that in my previous music. So that will probably happen, so it'll have 10 tracks altogether, but I don't think I've resonated with music this much in a while, like my own music. So I'm very, very happy for it. And I feel like if you guys liked this song, you're going to like the rest of what I have cooked up. So while you guys are discussing that, I'm still kind of putzing around with writing some stuff. Just since I have the ability to do so, I'd rather just, do a little tiny bit of work while I can. Really though, what's next is, because that beat was a reference track that I sent, and the person who I had recreate it did a really, really good job. So they recreated it really well. So I'm going to keep using them for the rest of the tracks. So I already have the reference tracks. I already recorded my vocals. I'm pretty sure I can just drag and drop it pretty much by the time the beat is completed. So then I can just, do that and then get them all mixed, and then just have to do some character art after that, which is going to be very, very fun. I'm very, very excited about that. Oh my gosh, my brain is not working right now. I do want to really discuss the character of this project, because I think she's really, really important. For some of you who don't know, I always had characters normally with my creativity and such, because it's easier to write. It's more fun, I think, to write a project about a character that I like. And the one that I'm working on right now, I'm so proud of. I'm actually just finishing trying to decide what outfit she has. And then that's going to be it. Then I know what type of cover, what type of merch art to make, all that kind of stuff. We getting right back into it. It's really been fun getting back into it and being like, hey, I really, really like this. So yeah, that's just kind of the thick of that. Yeah. I'm going to refresh real quick here, because I'm hoping... It's weird. It feels like I'm trying to do like 3 things at once, and my brain just doesn't know how to talk when that happens. But I feel like the chat's been off. It stopped working a second ago. I already asked it to open the panel. That's so weird. Well, I hope you guys show up. There we go. Okay. We got some stuff. We have some visuals. I literally am seeing all these YouTube video recommendations that's like, oh yeah, I should watch that later. Just getting distracted. So, I'm just going to do a run through of how this whole project came to be, what it's about, what is the plans for the future, all that stuff. However much I can give, right? And I will be real when I say that some of this stuff if it's of interest to you, then it'll really be easier for me to know how much to describe in this stream, but also in future videos and stuff like that. Because, again, for those of you who don't know, some of my earlier music had characters that resonated for whole albums, album upon album upon album. That was their story. So, it's important for me to understand what resonates with you guys, because I know in some cases what might make sense to me might not make sense to anybody else. So, yeah, if it felt interesting to learn more about the story, so to speak, like what was being talked about in the song, then that kind of gives me the idea in my mind that you guys are tracking with what I'm sharing, that kind of thing. So, yeah. Basically, the idea is just a way that I was thinking of creatively that you could encapsulate juggling positive emotions that we have, and how sometimes the pendulum might swing to being toxically positive. You're too positive. You're not really aware of reality, and anxiety, depression, those kinds of things. So that's kind of something that I've just always felt intrigued whenever an anime or something, some concept like that decides to delve into, and that's what this character is going to be about, and her journey. And in typical sort of magical girl style fashion of storytelling, there has to be some fantastical elements to it. So she gets visited by two stars, one that's pink and has is kind of overly positive, and then this really grotesque black star with jagged edges and multiple eyes and stuff, and that's the negativity. And they're constantly talking to each other. They're kind of the angel and devil on her shoulder, but they do manifest more power and ability based on how concentrated she is on one emotion or another. And then it's a whole question of whether or not you're able to actually juggle what you're feeling in a constructive way. And that's what the premise of it is. And yeah. And to kind of delve into the lyrics a little bit, because there was a few things that I wanted to write that kind of gives a like an obvious nod to who she is. We can just look over the lyrics here if I can remember where I put them. There we go. So, hey, Blender, you made it in time. Very good to see. Yeah, so we'll just run through the lyrics here. I assumed that everyone could understand the lyrics, like kind of pick it out. Yeah, so if not, that's where we're going to go through with this. The hair in my face is confidence, covering where I crumble on the inside. She has a little bit of longer hair, like medium length hair, so figured that would kind of give rise to, you get anime tropes where, people look down for a fraction of a second and their hair is low enough that it's able to cover their face. Kind of a staple of when a character's feeling resigned or frustrated, they kind of hide behind their hair. So covering where I crumble on the inside. So when I'm alone, I can't compete, and my fears take shape and come alive. So this is generally described in later songs, but the idea is anxiety, those frustrations, those kinds of things, they take shape and they can attack and hurt people and those kinds of things, because that's how normal emotions are. You can hold on to a lot of stuff and it will affect other people. So I wanted to have a depiction of that, basically. So then, depression, anger, and self-deprecation swirls in my head till hallucinations. I don't know about you if you've ever struggled with some of that stuff, but it can really mess with your brain to the point where you're not even seeing anything coherently. You're just kind of off the path with assuming whatever your anxious brain tells you. Depression, anger, and self-deprecation swirls in my head till hallucinations gets under my skin, causes abrasions. Abrasions can just be any sort of wound. It's typically what you see on the surface. But I wanted to also be metaphorical that it causes friction, displeasure, that kind of thing with others. Also, getting under your skin, that's metaphorical. It affects you beneath the surface, gets you frustrated. The pain pounds out the last of my strength, then always taking steps forward, but falling further behind. So you're taking steps forward to go where you want to go in life and better yourself, but maybe you're not feeling like you're accomplishing more than what you're putting into it. That's how therapy works. You're not going to go in there like, oh, great, I hit this milestone, now everything's fine. It's like, here's this milestone, now there's 12 different things to work on. And it can feel like you're just taking a couple steps forward and then many steps back, which isn't true, but it can feel that way. So, what happened to my computer? Let me try this here. Oh my gosh, why did it do that? Oh man, that's interesting. I literally merged two screens together and then put it into a whole different window. I don't know how I did that. Let me just go to my phone here, and then I can look up the lyrics. Okay, at least chat's here. Oh, great. That's fun. Okay, there we go. I can actually scroll down. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and then the chorus, I'm always waging war with myself, fighting with the mirror and my feelings. Yes, this character is going to be female. I just like having female characters be the forefront of stories I write because they're prettier, just saying. But I think also, so I say that because a lot of ladies struggle with image issues. Men do as well. But that is something I wanted to kind of give credence to with fighting with the mirror and my feelings. I feel like culturally, a lot more ladies struggle with how they look than guys. Not to say guys don't struggle with that stuff too. I just mean it's way more prominent, I think. I hope one day more than pills will help and I can fight forward for some meaning. So fighting forward, we go back to that concept of taking a few steps further but falling further behind. Taking a few steps forward but falling further behind. Now, I haven't had to take any medication for my ADHD for a while or anxiety or anything. But I do know what it's like to feel like, maybe something besides medication can actually make me feel good. Is that a possibility? I ask the universe. So yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of, where I was coming from with that. Just kind of painting this picture of someone who does have some body image issues, does have some mental health issues, is taking medication for it, but is hoping that, do I need to rely on this or is there something I can do to actually better myself? Beyond that, because sometimes it can feel like for people who've been on medication that you're kind of reliant on it like it's a crutch. You physically can't exist without it. Now, some people do need medication to that degree, but for me, I felt like a lot of my help was able to be achieved by just learning more about myself and learning, hey, you might not like this part of you, but that's who you are, and you can cherish that and not feel like you have to fix that. And then in the next verse, it goes, I always imagined a place to exist, to be myself without a price to carry. That meant a lot more to me initially, or after the fact, than it did initially, because I think just lately, I feel like a lot of us honestly are just looking for a place to exist. We're not asking for the world. We're not asking for everything from everyone all the time. We just want to have a place where we can feel okay every day. Just a place of safety, really, which I feel like is far more, should be easier to give people than we might think. But there, and sometimes though, I say this from my perspective with my autism and stuff, it feels like there is a price to carry for me being myself. I don't feel like I can just be myself all the time. Hey, Sauce Man, hello. Thank you for the hearts. Appreciate that. It's going well. It's going well. We're just talking about the song that I put out and just going through the lyrics and discussing the character whose story I'm going to be telling, but then also how some of this comes from my own experience. Because like I said early on, it's a lot more fun for me to write about a character going through something relatable than me using I words and always talking about myself. Because sometimes it gets way too easy and way too emotionally frustrating to be like, today I hate myself again because I hate the way that I, whatever. As this second verse was saying, I always imagined a place to exist, to be myself without a price to carry. A lot of people who are on the spectrum do what's called masking, where my natural inclination is to just talk and just be like, hey, I thought of something cool and I want to share it with you. Now, I have had people tell me before they're okay with that because I at least keep some sort of topic going and I at least tie it into what's going on. When I was younger, I used to just say whatever came to my head. I wasn't even trying to connect it to the topic of conversation. Now I'm a lot better. If someone's like, hey, yesterday I saw a turtle, and then it'd be like, oh, did you see the meme of that kid who talked about he liked turtles? It was pretty funny. I actually saw a video on YouTube where they checked in with him because he's older and they were looking at what he was up to. He actually started a foundation to help turtles. Isn't that interesting? Right? And now I made all that up. I'm just giving an example. But that's how my brain thinks. And that's how my brain normally wants to communicate. It finds something related to what you're talking about, but it kind of directs the conversation. So a lot of us who are on the spectrum just mask. So we look at what other people are doing and we put on a mask. Okay, this person doesn't ever talk about themselves. Okay, I'm not going to talk about myself. I will learn to ask questions. I will learn to do this. I will learn to do that. Basically anything that revolves around not just being yourself, because ultimately we've learned in one way or another that that's socially unacceptable. So obviously when you get older, you learn that everybody, has their own dealio, and not all of us ever operate with social acceptability. Sometimes there's plenty of people who aren't on the spectrum that just talk and talk and talk and they don't care what anyone says. At least someone like me has the awareness of like, okay, I know that this isn't how this normally works, so I'm going to try and figure out my conversation. So with that, to be myself without a price to carry. There's a few people in my life that I know that I'm safe enough around so that I can just talk to them and it's no big deal, right? And that's a message I wanted to convey here. I can take another breath and smile and walk the streets without worry. Just relaxing in that, being like, hey, you know what? I don't even have to think about masking today. I could just be myself, and whatever I say to the people that I meet who I care about and trust, they're going to love me for that. I don't even have that perspective with people I'm typically around. So that's why I wrote about that. Always taking steps forward, but falling further behind. Again, we're reiterating the bridge before another rap verse. But there's a crowd and I feel frozen. The stressors found me and they're shouting. I wish I had a sword that I could swing when another attack has come again. So originally, this character had a weapon, which was going to be a sword, like a magical sword. And that was originally going to be part of what was going to lead into her character arc, which the music will do more to explain. But, saying, but there's a crowd and I feel frozen. There's a crowd of thought. There's a crowd of people and I feel frozen. The stressors found me and they're shouting. So those stressors shout at you in an effort to try and protect you. Hey, mask what you're doing. Don't say what you're feeling. Hold yourself together. I wish I had a sword that I could swing when another attack has come again. Recognizing it what it is. It's attacking who you are. It's trying to help you, but it's not. So, yeah. And then the chorus, I'm always waging war with myself, fighting with the mirror in my feelings. I hope one day more than pills will help and I can fight forward for some meaning. So that's just kind of how that goes. That's the idea. Now, I will say, I feel like generally speaking, I have really toned down the specifics with my lyrics. I feel like the fact that I have to explain a lot with what I wrote is probably a good thing because I am a very wordy person, if that hasn't resonated with you yet. And Sauce Man, I'm glad that you appreciate the narratives with the music. I think the way that the story goes for this project will be very well constructed. And I think even looking at the track listing and stuff and how it was put together, that it was put together with purpose and with a good narrative flow. And yeah, if this sounds interesting to you guys, I bet you're really going to appreciate this project when it comes out. I'm super excited to share it. I'll probably do a stream once it's fully done and then post it. And it'll be like just one video that has the whole album on it. And then I'll post Spotify links and that kind of thing. And that's part of the thing with this single. It's not on Spotify right now. I wanted to make sure you guys were interested first because I've experimented with a lot of music over the last couple years, trying a bunch of different styles. And I wanted to make sure that you guys actually liked this first before working on the rest of the project. So I'm glad that a lot of you guys enjoyed it. I'm sure there's others that just haven't voiced that they enjoyed it. So yeah, with that said, I'll just, continue working on the project. Yeah, I will say this too. While I have still been trying to understand how my brain has thought through this whole creative process, because there was a lot of anxiety and a lot of uncertainty as I've been jumping around over the last couple years. And then I found this genre and I just settled right into it, wrote a bunch of stuff, really enjoyed it, really made a character pretty quickly, and just was so passionate about it. I honestly had to sit back and go, how did that work? Even when you were doing your previous catalog, there was definitely a point where you felt like you were just listless, like you didn't know what you were doing. What changed? I don't know. I don't know what changed. I don't know what... oh, thank you, Sauce Man. Thank you for the $1. I really appreciate that. Everyone give it up for Sauce Man. Appreciate you very, very much. Yeah, that really means a lot to me, man. Now I'm gonna lose my train of thought. There we go. Hey, that's okay. Sauce Man, don't even worry about it. That's all right. I very much appreciate it. It means a lot. It's the heart that counts. I think really what I'm just looking away for a sec so I can regain my train of thought here. What I had to realize was when I stopped worrying about overthinking what everyone else was going to think about my music, that's when I realized I still really like metal music because I love the visuals, I love the logos, I love all that kind of stuff. I knew there was still a place for me somewhere. I know that mainly because I'm white, but also because of just, you know, um, certain aspects of hip hop and stuff. I don't feel like I belong in hip hop, but just like arguing whether or not you deserve a seat at the table, I don't feel like I deserve to sit at the table of hip hop, but I belong in the house, if that makes sense, right? So I might not be in the dining room, right? But I can still get past the door and be like, I am still a rapper. I am still a lyrical artist. I want to use my voice to express things that way, right? So I was really happy to figure out different ways of mixing power metal, which, yes, typically revolves around very operatic singing, but it does work for just normal singing. Doing that and then having the deeper, the more chuggier parts of the songs be a spot for rap. It made me think about nu metal. It made me think about Korn. It made me think about all these different bands that are there to mix genres. So I love power metal. I love how whimsical it is and how much story they have, right? But then I wanted to go one step further and be like, okay, I can tell a story and I can use this medium to rap, and I know that I can sing, and I've actually been working on my voice a lot for this project, so I hope that sounds evident once you guys listen to the songs. But yeah, so that was kind of the viewpoint. As soon as I stopped thinking about anybody else besides, hey, just hypothetically here, what if you just made some music that you were really happy with? What would that look like? Just try it. And if you like how it sounds, keep going with it. And that's what I did. I found a bunch of reference tracks that kind of mix power metal and metalcore and just all this cool stuff. I'd been working on different logos here, and I finally got a logo that I was really happy with, and then started working on this character concept and all these different things. And then that was it. And, every day I went back to it, I was all the more excited than I was the day before, which is a good sign for me. It means I'm actually invested. And whatever anxious part of my brain was always ready to jump ship with previous projects, because I literally could make and break a story and a character and a narrative arc in minutes. I could think up something really easily, write it out, and then be like, nah. And I would be sitting there like, why? Why are we doing this? I really want to make this. Why are we throwing it away all the time? So I literally have a folder on my computer that's just chock full of all my previous ideas, because I didn't want to throw them away. I was worried if that was what the goal was somewhere in my mind, like, oh, purge it, get it out of there. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to put it elsewhere, and then I'm going to try and think of something else. So that's kind of where that aspect of things was going. So yeah, making a character and just sticking with it and being like, oh, this is really, really cool. I was very happy with that. And literally today I just finished the references for the character, and I'm excited to have it, out there for you guys to see this character. I think it'll be really, really fun. But that's kind of the whole of that original song. I appreciate you guys for stopping by. I do have to kind of cut this short a little bit. This weekend, I'm going to have a long weekend. Going to record a lot of stuff, going to get ahead of a few things. I've really been appreciating you guys supporting me with busting out all the videos that I did lately. It was a lot of work. I'm not even gonna lie. I was very tired from the week, and it took a lot out of me to record those days. I also was recording the majority of my album, so I was very, very tired, and just emotionally juiced up as well. So being able to finish that really, really meant a lot. So yeah, I'm starting to get a little emotional, which is a sign of two things. That one, I'm probably very tired and need to go to bed. But then two, I am still very, very excited to show this to you guys. And that's all I got to say about that. So thank you guys so much. And again, thank you to Sauce Man for the dono. Really appreciate you guys so much, and hope you have a wonderful evening.